Hello there, and welcome to the Power of Integrity podcast. I'm Ralph Adamo, your host, and today I'm delighted to have Annette Walker. Annette has a wonderful background, and she's doing wonderful work in our community at the City of Hope. Before that, she was in the St. Joseph system. I want to give Annette an opportunity to tell her story. Today, we'll get into some of the topics around integrity and the application of integrity in her world, but more importantly, Annette Walker, please tell our audience a little bit about you and your journey here.
Thanks, Ralph. It's great to be here today. When I think of my career, I think I've had a kind of a circuitous route, but one logical thing leading to another. And I know when you're young, sometimes you think, oh, when I grow up, this is what I want to be. I wasn't one of those people. I actually knew that I wanted to be in healthcare, but I didn't imagine that someday I was going to be a president. And that wasn't because I wasn't ambitious. It's just sometimes your path is revealed as you live your path. So anyway, I went to college. I got a bachelor's in biology, and then I became a clinical lab scientist. So I did lab work. So like read CBCs, did your chemistry tests. Chemistry was my favorite, mostly because of the mechanical machines that I got to manage. But I did that for about 15 years in a hospital environment. And, I'll answer, some inflection points in my career later. But I did go on to get my master's in my 40s, or 38, actually, almost 40. I finished my master's degree, and that sent me on a different trajectory of executive leadership. And I've been in an executive leadership role, largely in strategy, for most of my career. I got a surprise in 2018. I had been at St. Joe's for 15 years, and then I had been part of the Providence when Providence and St. Joe's merged for about 2 years. And I got a call from City of Hope, and they said, City of Hope's really interested in talking to you. And I was like, sorry, it's too late. I'm 60 years old. I'm not getting on the freeway for 2 hours. I live in Orange County. And they said, no, we want you to build a City of Hope in Orange County. And that prospect was, I want to say, so exciting to me. I had never done construction before. I had never built anything. I had done strategy in this market, and I love the people of Orange County. I love this community. My husband and I have lived here over 40 years, and all 6 of our children were raised here. So it was like, wow, to do something that mattered so much. At the time, 20% of the residents of Orange County who got diagnosed with cancer would leave Orange County. If you could imagine that, with all the great resources we have, specifically for cancer care and specifically for highly specialized cancer experts in clinical trials, 2 things that City of Hope is known for and most outstanding in. And you may have heard that most recently we were named one of the top 5 cancer centers in the United States of America. Yes. So it has been a great adventure. The cancer center is open. It's been open for just over 2 years, and the hospital's under construction. And we're planning to open the hospital in December of 2025. So it's been an exciting ride since 2018, but extremely rewarding. And, you like I said, you don't know what your path's going to be till you start walking your path. I never could imagine all the amazing things that have happened to me being part of building something in this amazing community. So it's been great. I'm so blessed. And along the way, my husband and I have been married for 46 years. We have 6 children, which is probably the most unusual thing about my career and our experience. And I always tell people the most important decision you ever make is who you choose to marry or who your partner is. That either can make you or break you, but I have a great husband, and we love Orange County, and we feel very blessed to be here.
Sage advice. I picked up a few nuggets along the way. It reminded me of a gentleman, Anthony Campolo. He was a speaker, he was a Baptist minister. He was also a psychologist, and Dr. Campolo would say, the young people today are peeling back the onion, trying to find the center of what their life's meaning is. And when they get to the center, there's nothing there. in that onion.
Wow, that's a great metaphor.
And the truth of the matter is, he said, people need to go out and live their lives to figure out what they do and don't like. And
Mhm.
that existential process that you just described was so eloquent. That absolutely spot on. Just spot on. Well, talking about integrity, because that's the theme of this
Mhm.
show and how it plays a role in our lives, can you give an example of how it's benefited you in your career and your path?
Well, it's one of those things that you cannot take for granted. It's a conscientious choice to live your life and your career with integrity. And I want to go back to just my thoughts about leadership, which will play into that. A lot of people think, oh, I'm the CEO, I'm the president, I'm whatever. And you arrive at that, and now you're the boss, you're the power, you get to decide everything. Um, in my mind, that's not really what leadership is. Leadership is being the custodian, a custodian of the mission, the people, and the assets of an organization. There for in healthcare, just about every healthcare organization I know was started by a small set of like-minded people. St. Joseph was the same way. It was a couple of nuns saw a need and they said, we need to take care of people. City of Hope was the same way. A couple of individuals in the garment district said, these people should not be on the street. They need help. We're going to help bring them together. And so when you accept a leadership role in an organization like this, you're accepting something that's way bigger than you as an individual. And if you see it as a position of power instead of as a position of being a custodian of something far older, larger, and more important than yourself, integrity will be a natural part of how you make decisions and behave. So I think you can't isolate integrity as one thing. It's a culmination of many things and experiences and a consistent progress towards whatever your core is or that aim is.
Yes, you used the word custodianship, and stewardship comes to mind as well.
Same thing.
Yes, being a good steward.
You're a
And
good steward. Yes.
yeah, yeah, and succinctly, folks have said it's not a once in a while thing; it's an all the time thing, and you're making that point quite clearly.
Yeah,
I
it
don't.
is. But it's also if there's younger people listening, did you ever see the movie with Al Pacino and Keanu Reeves called The Devil's Advocate?
Yes.
That movie demonstrates better than any other movie that I recall seeing of how you make choices in your life inches at a time, not yards at a time. And as good or bad, whichever direction you go, no one says, oh, I'm today just going to go out and kill somebody. Things have happened before that. No one comes out and says, oh, I'm going to be the leader with the most integrity, but they've never demonstrated any integrity. You choose an inch at a time which direction you're going to take, and what kind of leader you're going to be. And
Yes.
it doesn't mean that you don't make mistakes or you don't backslide sometime, but it's a consistent motion forward or in a particular direction, which will decide where you end up.
Well said. Fascinating. It's you're either on a slippery slope downward or you're on a wonderful crawl upward.
That's exactly
Yes,
right. And the
for sure.
more you go in one direction, the easier it is to stay there.
It's very true. Yes, inch by inch, everything's a cinch.
Yeah, that's a good line.
And yard by yard, everything can be hard. Try to take it one little tiny step at a time. It's increments, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's small choices. Like
yeah.
I'm gonna steal a pen today, and then I'm gonna steal something bigger, and then I'm gonna steal something bigger, or I'm going to save a dime, or I'm gonna save $1. It 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 is such easy, fundamental, I want to say, perspective to grasp, but yet many, many people don't.
Yes. How one thing builds on the next.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yep.
absolutely. And compounds dramatically. You were in what you were sharing reminded me, and James Allen, who wrote "As a Man Thinketh," and of course he wrote in those days with the gender specific "As a Man Thinketh," meaning gender
Doesn't
neutral.
offend me at all. I know what he meant.
Yes, we're in a world in which we have to qualify things.
Well, not in the world I am. I take no offense.
Perfect.
I take no offense to that, and I love being a woman.
Yes, and what James Allen wrote, which was so profound, he said, circumstances do not create the individual, they reveal them. All those
Ooh.
incremental choices that led up to what is now revealed and openly seen by others. Speaking about that, in
Mhm.
integrity, many times, folks, other guests on the show have spoke about doing the right thing when no one else is looking or no one else can see. But when you think about your career path and just in life in general, can you remember a time where your integrity was tested?
Yeah, it was. I want to say I was probably 30-ish, and it stands out in my mind. And I was working at a hospital, and was learning how to be a leader. I was a director level, and the CEO of the organization, it was I wouldn't say he lived with integrity, meaning that it was about him more than it was about everybody else, but he was very arrogant, and he made some arrogant decisions that resulted in the hospital suffering, and we had to lay off people.
Oh boy.
And I was faced with laying off people who had done nothing but come to their job every day and do a good job. And I remember this one individual, his name was Francisco. He is a lab assistant, so or phlebotomist. So, not making a lot of money, but supporting his family on that. And he was this joyful spirit, and I had to lay him off. And it was awful. It was awful. I felt so bad, and I felt it was so unjust. And, I'm having this conversation with him, and he's telling me, Miss Annette, it's okay. It's okay. Now, I felt like I was not doing the right thing. I did not have a lot of choice in it, which I'm sure you can understand in middle management. I didn't have choice. I had a choice how I did it, but I didn't have a choice that I was going to do it. So I tried to maintain my integrity in the manner in which I treated him. And then he ended up treating me even better than I treated him. And it had a really strong effect on me that it changed my thoughts about my career, and that I wanted to spend my career building things that created opportunity for people and didn't put families at risk through crappy decision making. So I've tried very hard to do that. I've tried very hard to be very good conservator of the resources so that people aren't inadvertently harmed because of bad leadership decisions, which you see are commonplace across the country. Some of it is not controllable, but much of it is. By being a good manager and not getting the organization over its skis or the people over their skis, but doing what's right consistently and being a really strong, sound manager to the extent
Yes.
that you are capable.
Yeah, because whether we admit it or not, those folks are counting on us.
Oh, they are. Their families, they're paying tuition, or they're paying for their kids to go to school, or they have to put gas in their car. It's a extremely disruptive thing to unexpectedly lose your job.
Yeah. Yeah, it was another nonprofit leader and a for-profit leader. The two of them were friends in a similar group.
Mm-hmm.
both CEOs at their organization, one at Orangewood, and Chris, I can remember what he said and what the other gentleman had said about, my style of leadership is one of service to those that work for us and with
Mm-hmm.
us.
Yeah.
And it sounds like yours is very similar.
Well, I try. I had a boss who later in my career did something that I thought was amazing, because previously, if there were jobs to be eliminated, every senior person I saw seemed to be pretty scarce when it came to the day of the announcements. But I had a boss at St. Joseph, Deborah Proctor, and she was the opposite. She agonized over, was there any other way to do it? Was there any other way to spread the pain so that there wouldn't be disproportionate impact? But she went and talked in the system office when we were located in Irvine. She went and talked to every single person affected personally and said she was so sorry, but she would help them in any way she could. And it's all the difference in the world as to how you do it and how you engage with the people who are just, are affected poorly. Someday it might be you, it might be me, but it is a hard thing. But that's just one thing that comes to mind of leaders acting with integrity and not so capriciously, that we sometimes are, in our society, comes down to, we got to make the profit. We got to make a certain profit, and not just a profit, but a certain profit. And if that doesn't happen, heads will roll. And it's not actually very good for the long-term health of the company either, because people then don't trust you. They don't feel safe, or that is reliable. If I extend myself for you, are you going to extend yourself for me?
Your comments have led to the next question that's top of mind: is how does integrity in leadership influence team performance and morale in your estimate?
I think it's everything, in the sense that if the people you lead don't trust you, you're not really leading them. They're behaving when you're in the room, but they're not behaving when you're out of the room. There needs to be, if there is trust and you're out of sight, they're going to do the right thing, and they know the same about you. They know that you're going to be there if things get tough. They know that you're not going to be capricious about things. They know that you'll be fair, that if they do something well, you'll say something. It's like a contract. It's similar to like in your marriage. You can't have everything. Just because you have a higher position at work, it doesn't mean that you have less standards. You can't expect something of them you're not willing to do. Does that make sense? Same thing with your spouse. Can't expect something from your spouse that you're not willing to do. Not going to happen.
Yes. Now, I know this is not specific because you're not in a for-profit business, but when you think about the constituents, normally in a for-profit business, it's relative to customers, the impact that integrity has on constituent loyalty, the followers, the users of your services. Does it play a role in your world, and how does it play a role?
It plays a big role, and I don't think it's much different than for-profit. So, for instance, you come to us, say you have cancer, you come to us, and I would argue it's even more important in our world, because our patients are vulnerable. Their life actually may be at risk, not just their money, not just their investment, not just the product they're buying. So I think that, making them the focus is something that we've tried to do, that this is about what they need, not just what we want to provide. Are we meeting the needs? And I'd say even the greater healthcare system has the same onus, that we should be looking always at what does the community need, not just what we want to provide. And when you somehow meet the need, whether you're for profit or not for profit, then you're fulfilling your mission. Then you're doing the right thing. But if you, like, for instance, if I said, I want to increase the profit on this particular product line, so we're no longer doing that service. And it's a service that is needed to recover well. It's not really fulfilling my mission. Not, to me, I've said mission more times than I counted on here today, but it is the centering of an organization of individuals. If you work in an organization where people make their behavior reflects their own advancement, not the advancement of the mission, you're going to run into trouble. You're going to run into a lot of trouble. So if you as a person don't have the integrity to say that you'll put the mission first, you probably won't last.
Yeah, you'll be a misfit in an environment that is committed to the mission.
Absolutely.
For sure. You'll stand out in all the wrong ways.
Yep.
As we're coming closer to the end of this podcast, one of the things that we've got young viewers, you've had a wonderful career spanning a number of years. What would you share to those starting out, whether it's in their business or in a nonprofit arena, about integrity, and what are some of the key takeaways you want them to be left with thinking about when they go about their day and their career ahead?
I think one of them would be there's no shortcuts. Being tempted to take a shortcut will, in the end, perhaps hurt you more than will ever hurt the company. When you do whatever your responsibilities are and you do them well, it always will eventually show itself. Because I want to say I had a boss who used to say, bloom where you're planted. And it's that lesson of, if you're always worried about the next step instead of fulfilling the obligations of the one you're in, you're never going to get anywhere. But if you have integrity to do the obligations of the job you accepted and you do it exceptionally well, the other opportunities will show themselves. They will come to your door, because the fact is, a lot of people just don't want to work that hard or don't want to do that. They take the shortcuts, and it's not a good way to be if you want to have a very long, successful career. If you want to have a mediocre one, maybe you might be able to get away with it for a long time, but sooner or later you'll hit your ceiling. So I would say that. And then the other thing is, I would say, be patient. That there's this thing going around in our culture is that, like, you're supposed to know everything so early, and you're supposed to, have your path, or you're not goal oriented. And like I said at the very beginning, sometimes the path reveals to you a fork in the road that you didn't even imagine. Like, for instance, City of Hope. I thought I was going to retire from Providence. I thought, I've been working long enough. That's for sure. I'm on the senior team of the third largest health system in the country. Where do you go from there? And I didn't see this fork in the road, but it was one of the best things I ever did, was to take it. So, don't be so worried about the perfect plan. But, keep your eyes open for what God might be trying to reveal to you. That's an opportunity that you didn't even think was going to be there.
With sage advice, stay patient, no shortcuts, and bloom where you're planted.
Yeah.
Annette Walker, you've been a wonderful guest. Thank you for taking on the mission of bringing City of Hope to Orange County. I know folks are going to want to get in touch with you. If they do, what's the best way for folks to get in touch with you?
Well, there's two ways. I'm going to separate them based on need. My social media accounts are going to be posted afterwards, and I'm always happy to connect on LinkedIn and Instagram, and I would really love for everybody to do that. But secondly, if you or someone you love gets cancer and you need help, send it to my email, which is anwalker@coh.org. And I promise, if there's any way that we can help here at City of Hope, we will. I will personally, that's my personal email. That's not a fake account that goes to some anonymous mailbox. That's my email. And if you need help, I promise I will be there to help you. And I hope you never need it. I hope you never, ever need it, but you might, or someone you love might.
What a wonderful spirit you are, Annette Walker. It's been a delight visiting with you. I look forward to our next connection.
Mhm.
Everybody, thank you so much. Annette Walker, City of Hope, Orange County. Wonderful having you on the show today.
Thank you so much, Ralph.
My pleasure, absolutely.
The information presented in this program is provided for informational purposes only. The information is believed to be reliable, but no guarantee of accuracy is made or implied. Expressions of opinions are as of this date and are subject to change without notice. The information in this material is not intended as tax or legal advice. Please consult a legal or tax professional for specific information regarding your individual situation. This information does not constitute a solicitation or an offer to buy or sell any security. Investing involves risks, including possible loss of capital. Ralph Adamo is registered with the securities and are offered through Kovac Securities, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC, 6451 North Federal Highway, Suite 1201, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, 33308. Telephone number 954-782-4771. Investment advisory services are offered through Kovac Advisors, Inc. Integrity Wealth Management is not affiliated with Kovac Securities, Inc. or Kovac Advisors, Inc.